So we have another very weak weekend at the box office. Again, there's nothing that people actually want to watch. Okay. And also there is, people are not really doing that well financially. People have to realize that people are not really doing that well financially, which is not good for anybody, especially the studios as well. So, that also is, you know, one of the reasons why the box office hasn't been so great. But again, if there's a good movie out, people are going to want to see it. The only types of movie, and of course, Marvel is still immune because of course, the normies. They'll save up to watch the Marvel movies, but actual genuinely good movies they don't want to watch. Okay, they don't care. Okay, you know, actual good movies. No, we don't want to watch those. We gotta watch, but we gotta watch the Marvel movies. We gotta watch them because Marvel's so great and amazing. We know this. Okay, we know this, and I think I think people just finally start to realize that the Marvel movies are not that great. You already have this missing box office returns for Marvel movies, but the only reason Black Panther is doing so well this weekend is because it has no competition. You gotta realize that Black Panther has no competition. It likely won't have any real competition until Avatar comes out, and that movie and it'll be probably down like 10 million grossing weekly by then. And yeah, this movie is doing similar to Doctor Strange at the box office, and yeah, the movie did not hit $1 billion. If it hit $1 billion, the media would be all be talking about it. Obviously, this is a error on, of course, the numbers for part. Okay, because this movie did not hit $1 billion. If they hit $1 billion, everybody would be talking about, like, Jurassic World Dominion would hit $1 billion. Everyone was talking about how Jurassic World Dominion hit $1 billion, how it hit $1 billion, hit $1 billion. Like they'll ramming it down your throat that hit $1 billion, but no one's talking about Black Panther hitting $1 billion. So yeah, this movie made the worldwide total is 635 million, which means this movie has breaking even. Then again, the international sales is not really doing too well for this movie. So yeah, this movie has not really done too well internationally compared to America and Canada. So yeah, that's another thing you gotta really realize, that this movie isn't doing as well internationally as even other Marvel movies as well. So yeah, this movie hasn't really done too well internationally at the box office, and they really need to fix the sales for this movie because this movie did not hit $1 billion. Obviously, it has only made $635 million worldwide, and I hope they fix this. They probably will. Okay, everyone else is saying it hits $635 million. It is gonna pass Love and Thunder, obviously. I think it's gonna make another $100 to $200 million worldwide. I think that is not too hard to see there, but it's not gonna make $1 billion. Okay, because international sales is not doing too great for this movie. It's the international sales are diminishing as time goes on, which is not good for this movie. As well, I know some people actually like this movie. Some people think it's like some underrated masterpiece, but this movie is still going to make money at the end of the day, which cannot be said about Black Adam, which again, Hollywood needs to stop spending so much money on these movies, these as well. Next is Strange World, another. Oh, they have the international sales in now, $27 million worldwide. That's abysmal for Disney. Okay, no one cares about this movie. It's woke. It's garbage. I have made a couple videos about this movie already. This movie is complete garbage. No one wants to see it. And I'm gonna get another video about you know, just the fact that people just do not like this movie. Even the bought and paid for Rotten Tomatoes scores are bad for this movie, which is telling that Disney can't even buy and pay for to give this movie good reviews. It's so hilarious to see because every Disney movie gets a perfect score on Rotten Tomatoes. Okay, but Strange World didn't, which is so funny and hilarious to see. That not even Disney wanted to put out bought and paid for reviews on Rotten Tomatoes audience score, because they probably knew that it was sealing, the fate was sealed at this fate for this movie. Woke garbage. All the marketing was woke garbage, just like Right Yell. And I'm sorry, but wokeness does not get butts in the seat. It does not get people's asses into seats. It does not. Okay, woke garbage. Same thing with another movie we'll talk about later, because that movie, and we know which movie we're talking about. The movie that I talked about how it lost $70 million for being woke. This movie's gonna lose $400 million at this moment. Okay. Yeah, the numbers here we're gonna update. We gotta add the $27 million at this current moment. Okay, Strange World. Okay, is losing $423 million worldwide. So this movie, because it needs to make around $450 million to even make money, to even make a profit. But the fact that this movie is losing that much money for Disney, this is one of the biggest box office bombs in history. Okay, one of the biggest box office failures in history. Okay, wokeness does not make money. Okay, we can clearly see here. Yes, he said it in the other movie we're talking about. We have Devotion as well, which is another movie that, no one cares about. But, yeah. But we can look at the box office numbers here. Black Adam had another 28 million. Ticket to Paradise gained 15 million. Wow Wow Crocodile was a big flop. Amsterdam lost a lot of money for Disney. Strange World. So it doesn't matter how much money Avatar 2 makes. Strange World lost a lot of money. Lightyear lost a lot of money. Okay, Black Panther, and the only thing that's making money now is Marvel. Okay, the only thing that's making money now is Marvel. Black Panther made $30 million. Doctor Strange made like $340 million for Disney as well. And four of them further made around $100 million for Disney. That is not enough money to cover for, of course, Strange World, losing $300 million. But again, let's remember, Alita was supposed to lose $200 million at the box office. Alita was supposed to lose $200 million. Let's remember that. Alita was supposed to lose $200 million. But none of the Disney movies, of course, were going to flop because, of course, the Disney fanboys were going to go watch them anyways. But it seems that people don't really care all too much for anything Walt Disney Company puts out. Nothing that Walt Disney Company puts out, no one wants to watch, okay? And we have this list of predicting the biggest box office bombs. You see that Strange World is not on this list. These two movies actually made money. Morbius didn't make money. These Week of Super Pets lost money. Moonfall lost a lot of money. Puss in Boots is not out yet. Let's remember they said Top Gun Maverick was gonna flop, but not Strange World, not Lightyear. Because they're made by Disney. Don't just remember. And they're still gonna say that, Disney. No, they're gonna still put no Disney movies on this list. Legally Blonde Free, I think no. These movies didn't even come out this year. And we have Avatar 2, Under the Boardwalk. Never heard of that movie as well. The only movie that they have on here that I think is gonna flop is Avatar 2. And they say the movie is gonna make around $200 million to break even. $2 billion, of course. Of course, this movie costs around $250 million to make, so it needs to make around $700 million alone to break even as well. I don't think it's going to need $2 billion to break even as well. Unless they spend around $1 billion on marketing for the movie. But this movie, Avatar 2, is going to need to make around $700 million to break even. And of course, Amsterdam is one of the biggest box office bombs in history. And same thing with Lightyear. And same thing with Strange World. Okay, no one wants to watch Strange World. It's a box office failure. It's a box office flop. It's a box office disaster of a movie. Next is Knives Out. This is Glass Onions and Knives Out Mystery. This movie also released on Netflix. So this movie is doing extremely well for a Netflix movie releasing in the feeds. I'm not gonna of course track this movie's profits because of course Netflix covered the cost for this movie. So even this movie cost like $50 million to make, the fact that this movie has made $13 million in the theaters and 700 screens, around 700 screens, is very impressive for Netflix. It's very impressive for them, and I think some of the more high profile movies, they should release them in theaters, and of course release them in Netflix as well, so people can have the option to watch these movies in the theaters when, of course, you have the chance. So, Glass Onion and Knives Out Story has done extremely well for being a Netflix movie in the theaters, okay, as well. So, this movie has done extremely well at the box office, especially being a Netflix movie, as well as, of course, for a more adult movie as well, a more adult movie, and Next is Devotion. Never heard of this movie. Oh, this is the war movie that they released. No one cares about this movie. This movie's doing even worse than Midway, and this is pretty. Oh, it's 9 million. I thought it was 5 million. I thought this movie only made 5 million, but it made 9 million. You have to update it, so now it's at negative $206 million. So yeah, this movie is gonna lose money at the very end of the day. It's a lesser known movie. It's not a proper franchise, obviously, which does not help it whatsoever. Okay, it does not help it whatsoever. It's not a proper franchise. War movies are not really too popular nowadays either, which does not help that movie whatsoever at the box office. So that is basically about Devotion. Next is The Menu. I gotta find the budget for The Menu. So The Menu at this current moment lost around $37 million, which is doing much better than most other films. I think this movie is having extremely good rigs at the box office as well. Which I think if it continues having good rigs, it will eventually make back its money at the box office, which it will be not like most other movies where they're losing money at this current moment. So yeah, again, this movie has everything stacked against it. Of course, not being a power franchise, I think it's the biggest flaw the movie has at the box office at this current moment. Because of course, we're in a new era where everybody wants to see the big franchises, which is very, very sad as well. Next is Black Adam. Again, this movie hasn't really been doing too well. Despite people saying it was a lot of people saying it's mediocre to okay. It's having the word of mouth your typical superhero movie has. It has done better than Shazam, but this movie they spent too much money on this movie. That's what I'm saying from the start. This movie costed too much money to make, and of course Warner Bros. Is paying the price for spending too much money on a movie that really should have been a hit if they didn't spend too much money on this movie. So Hollywood really needs to have some spending control on some of these movies, because of course if Black Adam had the same budget as Shazam, 100 to 215 million, this movie would have made money. Even with 150 million, this movie would have still made money. But $200 million, you need to make around $500 million to break even, and this movie has not even hit $400 million at the box office. So yeah, at the beginning I was saying Black Adam's a flop, and it's no surprise it is. Next is The Fabelmans, which again this is a Steven Spielberg movie about himself. So yeah, this movie made $3 million at the box office. Next is Bones and All. Bones and All has made $3 million. It's another Oscar movie. So yeah. Yeah. Next is Ticket to Paradise. Has made $165 million at the box office, which is pretty well for a non-franchise movie. Obviously, this movie needs to make around $150 million. And of course, it has made $165 million. So this movie has done pretty well, especially not being a power franchise as well, which is the biggest, as well. Next is She Said. This movie is a box office failure. Woke garbage. This does not make money, obviously. And of course, She Said already had it stacked against it because it's not a power franchise. But being woke is basically just, you're basically already striking a dead body at this point, a corpse. You're basically suing a corpse at this point by making this movie woke. So, yeah. I said at this beginning, this movie lost $74 million because people don't care about wokeness. People don't want to watch movies about wokeness and woke issues as well. So, She Said is a box office failure and a box office flop. Next is Wild Wild Crocodile. Has made $80 million. Unfortunately, it isn't enough to break even as well. So, yeah, this movie is a box office flop, a box office loser. I thought this movie would make more money domestically and internationally, but no. I thought this movie would make at least around $150 to $125 million at the very least. But no, it made $80 million, which means this movie has lost money. So, overall, not a very good week for the box office. More box office flops coming out, like Devotion and, of course, Strange World, which we talked about to death already. So yeah, that's basically what this video here. Goodbye.